Hi, I'm Angela Ahbez-Anderson, and I am originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, relocated here to New Jersey about 30 years ago, and I made Asbury Park my home about 21 years ago. My husband and I decided to settle here in Asbury Park and raise our brood. We have 4 children, 2 that are young adults, 1 that is turning 18, and my baby girl, she is now 14. Fell in love with Asbury Park, mainly because it's a unique little city. And when we moved here, Asbury wasn't bustling like it is today with the redevelopment, but we saw the potential for this gym to be buffed and shined up, and so we settled here and made it our home. So we found a beautiful home with the library to our right, the beach to our left, and a park right across the street from us. And we've been happy here. How did I get involved with education? Well, I started in my church. With my church, they asked me to be the women's ministry leader, and I had no idea what to do, but I fell right into it because I learned how to create programs for women, and I wanted to help women who were single parents, head of households, who were either unemployed, underemployed, experiencing some hardships, and how I could help them because I related to them. My mother was a single parent, and I came from a single parent home, and I wanted to be able to empower them like my mother had instilled those empowering skills in me, and that was to birth a dream, to focus on it, and never give up. So I created programs through my church that would help hurting women heal. From there, someone introduced me to a program called the Asbury Park Consortiums, and they were starting this new leaders project. And I made application, I graduated and received a seed grant, and I birthed the Rebuilding Me project. And I implemented this life skills program into the Mercy Center, the Asbury Park Housing Authority, and this helped women work towards self-sufficiency. So that is basically how I got involved in Asbury Park and the educational process. I'm running for the Board of Education because I feel that there's some unfinished business. I served from 2011 to 2014 as a board member as well as the board president in 2013. And I was one of the minorities of the board members, as we were referred to, that believed in Dr. Repollet. I voted to appoint him to be the superintendent. When he walked into that room and he interviewed and he presented his 5-year plan, he had his hard hat, he had his slogan was retool, rethink, and redesign the Asbury Park School District. I knew that he was the candidate for this district. I want to be able to continue to work with him. I would like to see his plans, his goals brought to this district and continue on without any interference. So that is my reason to continue to work with the board, to continue to serve the community, to help in any way that I can so that our children are no longer hopeless, but now have hope, to help change their negative mindsets that they have, that they can't achieve, and change it to where they can. My biggest concern prior to Dr. Repollet was having a curriculum in place, bringing phonics back into the district so that our children are able to read, and changing the pre-K program so that our 3- and 4-year-olds are separated and prepared for kindergarten. So when they enter kindergarten, they're not 2 years behind. Now that we have Dr. Repollet in place, that those things that I wanted are now in place. But we have the middle school that is still is being overseen by the state. We have RAC, and RAC is overseeing the middle school. So I would like to be able to have programs instilled in the middle school that, one, is going to build those children's self-esteem and their confidence. You see, middle schoolers, they are at a pivotal point in their life. Most middle schoolers, when they are about 9 years of age, their self-esteem has peaked, and then it takes a nosedive. If we can get them to begin believing in themselves, building confidence and self-esteem, we can help persuade them away from the negative things that they might encounter when they get into high school. You know, how you feel about yourself has a lot to do how you behave. So if we can put programs in the middle school that will direct them to feel better about them, that is something that I would like to see happening there. And also the high school. I would also like to see the high school have more programs. And that was one of my centerpieces when I was on the board. I wanted the high school to be an academy. And that was a motion that I had made. And right now we have that in place. If elected, I pledge to restore trust back into the district. Currently, we have several board members that have had ethics charges brought against them. That is costing the districts hundreds of thousands of dollars. I pledge to be transparent. I also pledge to work with all of my board members. And I also pledge as a priority to make children first. It's not about special interest groups. It's not about getting a friend a job. It's about doing what is in the best interest of the children. And so I pledge to fight for the children, always. And even though some people may say, well, that's not the right thing to do, you're not supposed to fight. It's not a fight, it's just standing firm and believing in what you stand for. And I stand for the children. I always have. That's why I've created programs such as the Princess Charisma program, the Eloquent Charismatic Orators, which is a public speaking program, and soft skills training program, the Readers Theater, and the Rebuilding Me project. These are programs that have built self-esteem and confidence in children so that they can go out for interviews. They can be interviewed by colleges and jobs. So I pledge to always put the children first.
My name is Peter Cheney, and I grew up at the shore. I spent most of my childhood in Asbury Park. And upon graduation from college, I began my teaching career in Asbury Park, interviewed by the present superintendent, who was Dr. Hill, and also Don Smith, who was the assistant superintendent at the time. They offered me a position, and I stayed with the district for 34 years. And after the 34 years within the district, I needed to make a change, and I decided to pursue a charter school program, which I did that and opened Hope Academy Charter School in 2001 and worked at that school for 10 years and retired and let it go on its own. And now I'm presently working for New Jersey Youth Corps, and I do youth programs for students that have dropped out of high school and are presently not doing anything with their lives. And we bring them in to the Youth Corps program, and I'm in charge of doing community service with the group. And that is my main function. My reason for wanting to be on the Board of Education in Asbury Park is I've been committed to the students, the families of Asbury Park for almost 50 years. I saw the district when I was first hired, where the leadership was strong and the students and the teachers all worked together towards one goal. I know that Asbury Park is capable of that again, and I would like to be a part of the renaissance with the new superintendent and support all of his programs and initiatives that he has in place. My biggest concern with the state of the educational system in Asbury Park is the fact that the board has been involved in problems that stem from personality conflicts within the group, and thus leading to legal fees that are being paid out to lawyers to represent the board and its board members. I feel that if I were involved in the board, I would try to bring some cohesiveness to the board so that we could use that time to work towards bettering the programs of the district in supporting the superintendent of schools and using the money that has been allocated towards education of the children of the city. If elected, I pledge to work with the superintendent and his staff that he has put together and work towards improving the program in Asbury Park to make it an exemplary program that I know, with the leadership that the superintendent has in place now, is capable of happening. I remember Asbury Park back when Dr. Smith and Dr. Hill were running the district. I remember how wonderful it was and how the students grew through this program where everyone was cooperating. I know that Asbury Park can do that again, and I want to be a part of that change.
Hi, my name is Sheila Etienne, and I'm a resident of Asbury Park. My parents migrated to New York, the Bronx, New York. I was born in the Bronx. In 1971, they came here. I was born in 1972 in March, and I was immediately sent to Haiti by June of that year. My grandmother and myself came back. My parents had now settled in Asbury Park, and we came back here when I was about 4 years old, 4 or 5. I went to kindergarten in Asbury Park, and I think during my kindergarten year, my parents got divorced. I was a latchkey kid. My mom worked around the clock. I mean, literally around the clock. I went on to go to Asbury Park High School, and I was very active. I ran track. I swing flag. I was part of the Key Club, student council president, homecoming queen. I pretty much did everything that was available to do. I went on to the September of my the September after I graduated, I had my daughter. So all college plans were put on hold. I went to Brookdale Community College the January after I had my daughter, and I stayed there for a year. Then I transferred to William Patterson. When I got to William Patterson, I was interested in theater. And one of the things that I realized when I got to William Patterson is, although we did a lot of Shakespearean work when I was in high school, we did a lot of the basics, like we did Romeo and Juliet. But we didn't touch upon like Hamlet, Midsummer Night's Dream. We did none of the Canterbury Tales, and I was just discovering when I got to William Patterson, Langston Hughes, Lorena Hansberry, Ntozake Shange. So I found it challenging because I had to do a lot of homework to do my homework. So I then had to I changed career tracks a couple of times because of the challenge, and I just found that was one of the problems that I had when I went to college. I got out of college, I became a probation officer, and I was a probation officer for 10 years. During the course of that 10 years, I decided to get my master's degree. So I started to attend St. Joe's University, which is in Bala Cynwyd, Philadelphia. So at one point I was commuting from Asbury Park, because I had a son too. As soon as I decided to go back to school, I had a son. So I was commuting with a newborn from Asbury Park to Camden to Ballackin Wood, back to Asbury Park. So my day would start at like 6 o'clock and I would be back home at 11 o'clock at night. I got my master's degree in criminal justice with a concentration in probation, parole, state incarceration, and my area of expertise was mediation. I then went on, I got married, and I moved to Washington. I moved to Maryland. I worked in Washington, D.C. at the National Institute of Justice, and I worked as a consultant on the HOPE probation program, which is in Hawaii. I did that for about a year, and then I ended up moving back to New Jersey, back to Asbury Park. When I moved back to Asbury Park, it was difficult for me to get into the state system. So I ended up opening up my own business. And within my own business, I started working with children, working with parents, working within the school system as a self-appointed liaison for my parents, because if they had an issue, I helped them. If they needed work, I found a job. If they needed counseling, I found a counselor. If they had questions about changing diapers, child rearing, any of that, I would help them. And through that work, I found myself working more and more with the school system, because I would have to go in with my parents to translate, because I speak Creole. I would have to go in with my parents to go over child study team paperwork, etc. So that's my connection to the school system. That's my connection to education, and that's what makes me want to run for Board of Ed. I'm running to be on the Board of Education for a few reasons. My first and primary reason is that, while I was in school, while I was in high school, I was a pretty good student. I graduated and I went on to go to college. I went to Brookdale for the first year because I had a child straight out of high school. But when I got to William Patterson, which is the college that I went to, I found it difficult to concentrate, to keep up with the coursework, because although I was very interested in literature when I was in high school, we did a lot of Shakespeare work. We did the basic Shakespeare though, like Romeo and Juliet and Othello. However, when I got to college, I discovered a whole bunch more Shakespeare, things that we weren't exposed to in high school, and things that other students had been exposed to, things that were mainstream for them, like King Lear. There was plenty of those. And then the other part of literature that I was exposed to was like the Lorraine Hansberrys, the Langston Hughes. Those are all things that weren't fed to me in high school. So I struggled a little bit. And I ended up changing my major a couple of times because of that struggle. And I thought it was just me originally, but once I graduated and I started talking to some of the people that I graduated high school with, or people that graduated before me, people that graduated after me, I kind of figured out that it was a shortcoming in the coursework. The coursework wasn't rigorous enough. So that's one of the primary reasons, just to make sure that the struggles that I went through are not struggles that the next generation of students are going through. And if that happens, then at least my struggles was worth something. The other reason is that I have a lot of parents that come to me that I take care of their children. However, their older children are going to school. I had one parent in particular who had a child that was autistic, and he was very high on the spectrum. And she spoke a second language. And it was so challenging for her to negotiate, to navigate the school system. It was challenging for her to sit down with the child study teams and speak. It wasn't comfortable for her. It wasn't made comfortable. A lot of the literature that was given to her wasn't even in the language that she spoke, the primary language where things could be broken down to her. So I had to work a lot with her, and I had to work a lot for her, going back and forth to the schools, translating, making phone calls. Things that should have been done for her weren't done. even as far as contacting SPAN, the Parent Advocacy Network. So, you know, those are the two main reasons that I'm running, because there is a lot of change going on. There is a renaissance going on in the school system. I see everywhere I go to a lot of the football games. I see a lot of pride. Pride is coming back into the school system. People are, the students are happier to go to school now, but I want to be part of that continued change, to continue pushing forward, where people are so happy to be from Asbury Park that, you know, we have a stigma currently, sometimes, and I just think that it would be an improvement. I want to be part of the improvement that's happening. One of my major concerns about the state of school is I don't think that I don't think they're challenged enough. And I think that we have spent a lot of time focusing on the children that we've spent a lot of time putting out fires. So if you're a student that is doing fairly well, I don't think we have a lot of support for that. And I think that we do need to concentrate on that. I think we need to concentrate on rigor. I think we need to have more programs available for the students the students all around, the students that are not doing as great, the students that are doing well, the students that want to go to college. And the way I want to focus on it is to make more things available, more after school programs, when our children get dismissed, homework help, some kind of enrichment program. I know that we did that on some level with the 3- and 4-year-olds this summer, which was great. They learned, they went to swimming classes, and this is something I want to see continued, not only with the 3- and 4-year-olds, but throughout the grades. Also, just to have more resources available for the parents. If a parent has a question, if a parent has a concern, I know that, again, they just instituted some parent advocates. So now a parent can go to somebody that's specifically there to address their problems. I want to push more of those programs and more of those, I want to have more incentives for children to be in school, to do well. We concentrate on children that are doing bad so much sometimes that we ignore the children that are doing well. So those are the things that I want to focus on. I want to find ways to encourage children that are doing well, students that are doing well, parents that want to participate. I want to find ways to get the parents more, to be a more integral part of the school system, the school day, to get the parents and the teachers and the administration to work together as, you know, one team, because we're all working for the same goal. Now, if I was elected, what I specifically, myself, pledged to do is, there's a lot of times that people go in and they think they know what's going on. Now, I think that my strength as well as my weakness is that I've never been on the board before. So my lack of experience on a board. Now, I have a vast amount of experience other places. I have great experience working with people. So I think one of the things I'm pledging to do is go in with an open mind. Other people's assessments of the board, what's been in the press, all that is none of my concern, because that's not the board I'm going on to. I'm going on to the board that I'm going on to. The other thing that I pledge to do is to have an open mind. I pledge to give 100%. I pledge to be receptive. I pledge to never let my ego get in the way. I pledge to put the parents and the students of Asbury Park first and foremost. That's my pledge.
My name is Christian Hall. I'm 27 years old, and I am the current Vice President of the Asbury Park Board of Education. I am the youngest elected official in the history of the city of Asbury Park. My connection to the educational system and the city as a whole I'm an alumni of Asbury Park High School and the school district as a whole. I graduated in the year of 2006. I went to pretty much every school here in Asbury. I have a lovely daughter, Kamora Hall, who is just turned 9 years old, and I have a son, Christian Hall Jr., who is 1 year. He's 1 year old. I pretty much, like I said, went to every school here. I enjoyed many different programs within Asbury through the school system, going back as far as home economics and dealing with the marching band. I grew up playing the drums in church, and then I went on to the middle school playing the drums and then the trumpet, being a marching band, and then went on to high school doing marching band, symphonic band, concert band, and doing fashion. Also played varsity football, freshman and JV football. I had high honor roll before I graduated from the high school, and then went on to college at Brookdale, earning myself a Dean's List certificate and also a certificate from the EOF program for being a rising graduate. I have my 2 children here in Asbury Park who I would love to someday announce that they are alumni of Asbury Park School District. I have 2 younger brothers who graduated from Asbury Park. One of which I helped raise, both of them I helped raise. One of which who is now over at the Art Institute of Philadelphia. He's well known nationally and definitely throughout the city for his work doing videography, photography, and editing. My other younger brother, he's over at King University as a junior now, and he also, while in college, on the side, he earned his real estate license, and hopefully he'll help me to purchase my first home here in Asbury Park. And that is my connection as far as education. Well, I'm just a lifelong learner here in Asbury Park. I've always been involved as far as the school district is concerned. I've always been a strong advocate for students, for children as a whole. For the past 6 years, I've been working with children and adults who have developmental disabilities, physical, mental, autism, Down syndrome, you name it. I've been a strong advocate for them and been fighting for their rights and helping them to live healthy, normal lives, fighting for safety. I'm running for re-election for many reasons, mainly because I have our city's best interests at heart, our students, our children's best interests at heart, our future. I want to make sure that our children, our future is set in a greater place to where our students are more equipped and more prepared than I was, more prepared than you were when you were a child in our school district. I want to make sure that we have programs for our students so that they can go out into the world and be competitive, so they can be homeowners here in Asbury Park, so they can come back and be teachers, Board of Ed members, lawyers, doctors, nurses, pretty much pass the torch down. How can the torch be passed down if we do not equip the ones who we're passing the torch to? So I want to make sure that our students have skills. I have been, and I want to continue addressing the concerns of all the staff, the parents, the students who come to me and feel comfortable talking to me because I'm approachable. When people have came to me with their issues, I address them. I don't just brush them off and just let it go. I address them and I get the job done. Also, I'm running for re-election because I want to continue the great work that I've already been doing for the past 3 years, including working with our current superintendent, supporting his vision, our vision, to build a brighter future for the city of Asbury Park for our students. I want our students to be able to compete and to be able to go out into the world, and when they go to be on stages and making their thank you speech to God and to their parents, I want them to also be able to even just think within themselves, just to be grateful that they would not have been there if it weren't for the great education that they got here in the city of Asbury Park. I want our students to have a safe environment. I want our community to be safer. I want our community to be more involved and more family oriented. And the way to go about that, I feel as though that we have to definitely equip our students better with the educational system. When I see issues that are going on in the city, if I read the newspaper or I see an article, if my next door neighbor is going through something, I see something on social media, I immediately look at it like, okay, what can I do here in Asbury Park to prevent that issue from ever happening again or ever happening at all? So I bring forth solutions, not excuses. I bring forth solutions to problems, life-saving programs, great ideas. I'm open-minded to anybody who has an idea to bring forth a solution. And that is why I'm running for re-election. So again, like I said earlier, I see different issues that go on, and I like to address these issues, and I look at it as, what can I do as far as being a Board of Ed member to address that and make sure that that issue never occurs again. Again, with the swimming, become certified lifeguards, CPR and first aid certified, also for them to have a swim team. And also for us to have our students to have the swimming as an extracurricular activity, just to have something to do, to give the kids somewhere to go, another outlet, somewhere to have fun. The ROTC program, with that, after going through the ROTC program, one of the benefits that our students can have is they would go into the military if they decide to, because we already know a lot of our students may say, hey, college isn't for me, or the military is a last resort, or they just want to go off and serve our country in that way and provide for their family. But if they go through the ROTC program before going off to the military, they will actually benefit to have a higher rate of pay, and they will go in at a higher rank than they would have if they did not go through the ROTC program, which teaches them honor, commitment, and discipline. Also, another one of my concerns is the issue of our students having out of school suspension. I would like to increase the attendance and the presence of our students in the classroom where they're getting instruction and not out on the streets. So they are there safe, getting instruction, learning to be our future, the doctors and lawyers and contractors and everything of tomorrow, being model citizens. I want our students learning in the classroom, not on the streets. I would like to have our students to have the vocational programs, trade programs, so they can be electricians, contractors, construction workers, carpenters. We have a lot going on here in Asbury Park as far as the new development, and I want our students to be able to get involved in that, to be able to provide their families with that. So one day when they walk past these buildings and with their families and their children, they can point at that building and say, hey, did you know that your father or your grandfather actually helped build that building, or did the construction here or the electricity here? I would like to change the morale to a more positive morale here in Asbury Park, the whole mindset, and make going to school and being educated cool, for lack of a better term. Finally, one of my biggest concerns is that when our students, our homeowners, and also our business owners all over town go off and they go to other places, whether it's college or they're in conversations with their colleagues and families, I want everyone to be proud to say that they are from Asbury Park, not embarrassed. I want everybody to be happy to say, I'm from Asbury Park, or I go to school in Asbury Park, I own a business there, I own a home there. I want to change the whole perception and of our students, of our community as a whole. I'm running for re-election on the Board of Education because pretty much I care about people in general. I care about everybody regardless of your sexual orientation, regardless of your skin color, or skin tone, regardless of your religious practices. We are all here together. If you take a snapshot, I feel like Asbury Park is pretty much a snapshot of America. If you were to take a snapshot of America and what the American dream is, or what America stands for, that is Asbury Park. That's what we exemplify here. Tolerance, inclusiveness, family, everybody all involved, regardless of what your differences are, but everyone being involved. I believe that a way to address these concerns is to pretty much continue to be an example of how to use our differences to actually help us benefit from them. Somebody may be different from you, but they may know something that you do not know. You may know something that they don't know, but if we all put aside our differences and come together and work together to make everything happen, we can actually make Asbury Park a better place. Make Asbury Park exemplify exactly what America is. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech. Everyone, so much diversity here. People of all different races, backgrounds, ethnicities. We have to work together, and my goal is to continue to work together with everyone, regardless of what our differences may be, to be a great example to our students, our families, my children. I come before you today with a dream of my own. It is a dream that you and I will live to see, because I will do everything in my power to see that my dream becomes a reality. I have a dream that our students will not only learn to read, write, compute, and go to college, but our students will learn to become stars on stages, artists in galleries, pros on the fields and the courts. I have a dream that our students will have home economics, learning to be independent. I have a dream that our students will have woodshop, learning to build and create. I have a dream that our students will have fine arts, learning to draw a greater future than you and I could ever imagine. I have a dream that you want the same great future for our children as I do. So I'm asking you to vote for me November 3rd.
My name is Barbara Lesinski. I've lived in Asbury Park for approximately 31 years. I had a position at the police department as a police dispatcher for 17 and a half. I got involved in community service as a neighborhood watch leader in the Northeast area in the 90s, and continued that by founding Neighborhood Watch, National Night Out, first Make a Difference Day in Asbury Park. And when my career at the police department ended, I became a certified science teacher and taught for 2 years. And I'm on the board now for maybe almost 6 years, and I want to continue my service to the Board of Education and the children of this community. I am running to be on the Board of Education, be re-elected again, because I want to continue to support our superintendent, Dr. Lamont Repillette. I was, along with Miss Anderson, the only two people that supported him and voted for him initially, and another unqualified candidate was chosen, and unfortunately we could have had him here sooner. Waited almost a year before the entire board decided to hire him, and I want to make sure that his efforts and the administrative efforts are continued without interference or outside individuals trying to influence what is done in the school district and how our students are taught. The biggest concern I have with this school district, unlike others or like others, is that student expectations are low. I think it's gotten to a point through the years, not anybody's particular fault, but just a kind of a downward trend where teachers, administration sometimes lose faith in the children because things are not being accomplished. But right now we're turning the district around. There's a lot of enthusiasm. Data is being used to guide the administration in what has to be done, a lot of professional development, and the superintendent's being honest. Kids can't read, and we have to address that. And honesty is something that needs to come forward. If somebody's failing in something, it needs to be addressed. People have to be held accountable. And I think that this district can turn around very quickly, because it's not the kids, it's everybody around them. They can do it, and we just have to have faith they can and show them the way. If re-elected, I'm going to ensure, as I do now, that all board members behave ethically and morally. If they don't, I have to address it. If I sit back and let it happen, I'm no better than the person that is doing something that they should not do. Board members are to make policy, and I'm a policy maker. I don't try to control anything that happens in the administration. I follow procedures and go through the chain of command. And I want to ensure that this district does everything it can, the board does what it's supposed to do, so that we can be successful without interference, and we could skyrocket into one of the best districts in the state of New Jersey.
My name is Kenneth Saunders, Jr. I'm a city resident. I have been in the city for all of my entire life. I went through the Asbury Park school system. Through grammar school and a graduate of Asbury Park High School. After high school, I went on to college. I went to North Carolina A&T. I went there and I realized that I still had some growing to do, so I came back home and started to attend Brookdale Community College. I reevaluated my educational goals and determined that the best career choice for me would be the field of nursing. I obtained my associate's degree at Brookdale Community College and went on to further my education by obtaining my bachelor's degree in the science of nursing at Seton Hall University. Since that time, I've done many community events such as career seminars with the high school and other organizations throughout the city. I grew up with two loving parents, Kenneth Saunders and Clary Saunders, who stressed the importance of education throughout my years. I like to call our household a structured educational zone, in which my parents really stressed the need for education. I feel that there's a need for improvement of education throughout the city, and we have a lot of growing to do. I am currently employed within the County of Monmouth as a manager in the operating room. I'm running to be on the Board of Education because our educational system has gone through some troubling times. It's right now where we have to help our city and our children reach their maximum potential. At this point, our fair city, as far as economic development, is going through a renaissance. And so why not our educational system? Our children need someone on the board who cares about them, cares about the city, and want the best for them. I'm that person. I want our children to see far beyond the shores of Asbury Park. I want them to see abroad. I want them to have vision of doing other things than just coming out of school and maybe just getting a job. I want them to see themselves in all different fields, whether it's nursing, of course, that I'm partial to, whether it's other industries such as business, communication, engineering. I want our children to see the world. That's why I'm running for Board of Education, to help our children have a vision or be a part of that renaissance within our community, not only as far as economic development, but in the educational system as well. Our biggest concerns with the state of public schools in Asbury Park is the fact that our children will come out of the public schools in Asbury Park not having the basic skills of life, not being able to read, write, do arithmetic, as I spoke before, or even have a vision to do other things beyond Asbury Park. Now, how do I plan on addressing that? Because it starts with me. If I'm elected to the board, it starts with me being accountable to the board, being solution driven, not problem driven. People could always say, well, this is wrong, that's wrong, and sort of what I consider kick the can down the road. But we have to work with the superintendent, work with the board, work with the community. I have to represent the community of Asbury Park. Not one side, not the other side, the community. Because who's affected mostly? The children of Asbury Park. My goal is to assist with the renaissance, or the ongoing renaissance within the community. That's my goal. And to be accountable, to be a voice for the people, and be a bond, not to divide the community, to join the community. And that's no matter if you live on Lake Avenue, Ridge Avenue, Deal Lake Drive, or Kingsley Avenue. Asbury Park is my home, to make it a better place. If elected, I pledge to give a 110%. I pledge to make every board member every board meeting. If you guys entrust me in being a member of the school board, it's my job and my responsibility to be at the board meeting. I pledge that I will be a representative of the community and not let outside influences judge me or make me waver. I represent you guys, and I plan on doing my best. I plan on being solution driven, not again kicking the can down and saying that this one did that one did this. My pledge is to try my darnest to get more parental involvement, because as we all know, there are 3 things and 3 keys to creating a better educational system. We need parental involvement, we need the child to be involved, and we need a good school district. Now, if I'm elected to the board, I will assure you that I will try my best to create or to assist in bettering the school district.